New tonight, the Republican Congressman Thomas Massie, who is now the leading face of the push to release all the Epstein files. That's an effort, of course, that the White House has explicitly called his effort a hostile act. In fact, a very hostile act. Well, Massie is now threatening to read a list of Epstein's clients publicly on the House floor. If the list is compiled by Epstein's accusers, you know, that if they put it together, he will go and he will read the name of those clients. It comes as our next guest, a former Sports Illustrated model who dated Epstein in the early 1990s, is speaking out to push for the release of those files. Stacey Williams alleges Trump had groped her in front of Epstein at Trump Tower in 1993. So you may remember from that. But Trump's campaign, of course, denied her claim when she first came forward. They said, quote, "It's obvious this fake story was contrived by Kamala Harris's campaign." But tonight, Williams writes in a new op-ed, and I quote her, "It is time to put politics aside. Release the Epstein files and help free the women at the center of this tragedy from a nightmare that has lasted for decades." And Stacey Williams is out front with me now. And Stacey, I'm grateful for your decision to speak out here. I know you spent time with both Trump and Epstein together in the 1990s. You know, what do you make right now of the lengths that Trump is going to, right? He's calling Massie's efforts to get all the files out a very hostile act to his administration. What do you make of the lengths Trump is going to block the files release?
I think, what's really painful for me is knowing what these survivors have endured, the years they've had to spend we're trying to recover from the trauma of being trafficked and raped as children. And now they're coming forward and demanding justice and transparency, and they're not receiving it. It's horrific. It's gaslighting. It's the very essence of gaslighting. And it's re-traumatizing.
And we know that there are over 1,000 names from Tara Palmieri's reporting in those files of victims. Right, of girls who are victims who want this justice. And, you reveal in your op-eds something, Stacey, that I did not know, that you say Epstein filmed you without your consent. And I want to read what you wrote. You wrote, "Epstein once told me over tea at Zabar and Zabar's walnut bread at his mansion that he had video of me disrobed in a bedroom in his home. He described it as the most beautiful thing he had ever seen." Now, of course, Stacey, we've not been able to confirm or deny the existence of a video like this. And obviously, this is not video of the alleged incident at Trump Tower. You say that this happened inside Epstein's mansion. You're sitting there eating with the bread and tea. Can you tell us more about that moment?
It was horrifying. But to get it back to your point, I don't know that it exists either. He looked at me and said that. And I want to know. I want to know if it exists. We all want to know. We all want to know when the FBI raided his home, and we all watched it. We watched it here on this news channel. We watched them raiding both homes. We saw cartons of evidence removed. I'm assuming in those cartons there weren't just lists, but possibly video. There have been other survivors who have come forward and referenced video surveillance. So I'd like to know, where is it? I mean, wouldn't you? I was horrified when he said it to me. I mean, blood ran cold, and I stopped seeing him not long after that. So we need some transparency, and none of us are getting it.
No, I mean, okay, so then. Trump's name, right? It was invoked multiple times at the press conference with some of Epstein's survivors outside the Capitol yesterday. One of them, Ms. Davies, said this. Let me play it.
"The truth is, Epstein had a free pass. He bragged about his powerful friends, including our current president, Donald Trump. It was his biggest brag, actually."
So, you heard her there, and she explained Epstein talked about Trump more than any of his other friends. There's been many people who knew Trump over the years, Epstein over the years that I've spoken to, who described them as best friends for a period of time. Do you agree that Epstein talked a lot about Trump?
Oh, I lived it. I experienced it. Jeffrey and I dated for a period of about 4 months, and there was only one friend other than Ghilan, who I crossed paths with in his home a couple times. There was only one friend who he spoke about regularly, who he was spending a lot of time with, and it was Donald Trump.
Wow, that's incredible. So over that 4-month time period, you're saying there's only 2 friends that you would run into in his home? Ghislaine and Donald Trump?
No. I did not run into Donald in his home. I ran into Ghislaine in his home, but I never ran into Donald Trump and Jeffrey Epstein's home. When I was groped by Donald, it was in his office, and Jeffrey delivered me to him and stood there and watched as it happened. So so again, and to get back to your earlier point about when you told me about the video, this and to my point about transparency and the need for transparency, it's very upsetting to me to see an op-ed get a lot of attention, written by someone like Alan Dershowitz, who said there was no surveillance, there was simply normal security cameras, when that flies in the face of my experiences and what Jeffrey said to me and what other survivors have mentioned.
Right. Of course, we're not able to speak to what Alan Dershowitz could say or claim about what the evidence is, right? And no one knows what the evidence is.
Right. We all want to know. It's really simple. I mean, the boxes are there, the evidence is there. Just why hide it? Just let's put this to bed.
When Trump says to Thomas Massie that it's a very hostile act to ask for all of the documents to be put out, when he refers to all of this as a hoax, which he has done repeatedly, that is the go-to word. Why do you think that is?
I don't want to sit here and, sort of guess about what his intentions are. It wasn't a hoax to me. And obviously my passing a polygraph test and having all the corroboration, having Michael Wolff confirm with Jeffrey Epstein what they did to me together. I have all these receipts, and I got to be honest with you, I'm getting a little tired of jumping through hoops, and I'm sure these other survivors too. Survivors have this horrible burden of having to survive trauma and process it, and then to come out and ask for justice and transparency and have to jump through all these hoops constantly and put through the ringer. I've been put through the ringer for months. It is a horrible experience. It broke my heart. Sir. It broke my heart to see those women and to hear their stories on the Hill these last couple of days. How as a Congress member can you in good conscience not come be an ally to these women and help them with their healing through transparency, through doing what they're asking, which is to release everything? To turn this into some kind of crazy Washington-based partisan kabuki theater is abhorrent. It's absolutely abhorrent, and that's what drove me to write that op-ed.
Well, I'm glad you did, and I'm glad you came on. And as I said, I know it's not easy to do. You have to have emotions like that rise as they do, right? You could avoid it. You're choosing not to. You're choosing to do it, and a lot of people are grateful to you for that.
Thank you so much.
Stacey.
Yeah, no personal gain whatsoever from this, other than catharsis and wanting to be an ally to these women. Thank you so much for having me.
Well, thank you.
Fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the they're doing.